Hello, my name is David Landini. In this video I will discuss the essential need of area qualifications for electorates. People in Australia are governed by members of Parliament that are elected democratically, but I will explain that there are varying degrees of democracy. Democracy is normally described as one man, one vote, which I will call basic democracy. But you and I have never had one vote in any government legislation. Australians actually do not have democracy expressed as one man, one vote. For the practical reason that we cannot all attend Parliament and vote, basic democracy has been modified to we the people electing members of state and federal Parliament to vote and govern on our behalf. Democracy has been further modified to people voting in separate electorates of equal population with separate lists of candidates. When electing parliamentarians, Australians do not vote as one group from one list of candidates. If we did, the people in the most populous area would elect all the members of Parliament, and this would be unsatisfactory to the people outside the most populous areas. Separate electorates ensure that people in different areas can elect members of Parliament from their area that can be expected to represent them better. A further modification to democracy is the Australian federal example of each state, regardless of population, having 12 senators each in the Senate. This is to prevent the people in the more populous states of New South Wales and Victoria, with their much greater numbers of members of the House of Representatives, from dominating all the other less populated states. These modifications show that there are different degrees and types of democracy. There is a fatal flaw in government with parliamentarians elected from electorates entirely based on equal population. The flaw is that in every state of Australia, including New South Wales, population growth has been greater in the metropolitan areas than in the non-metropolitan areas. This has caused an increase in the number of electorates and consequent politicians in the metropolitan areas. And because the total number of electorates in New South Wales is set at 93, a corresponding decrease has occurred in the non-metropolitan areas. There are reasons for the relative growth in population in the more densely populated areas. One of these, and I think the main reason, is that because these areas contain the greater number of politicians, and as politicians normally possess great ambition to be re-elected, they cause a lot of public money to be spent building public infrastructure such as roads, railways, hospitals, universities, high schools, primary schools, and locating government bureaucracies in their electorates. They also build swimming pools, entertainment stadiums, and on and on. These create and maintain high employment and population growth, and this growth creates its own additional growth. This infrastructure construction either does not happen at all in relatively less populated areas, or at most it happens at a much lower level. Since the first New South Wales state election after Federation in 1904, on average, every 5 years, one electorate has evaporated out of the non-metropolitan areas and condensed into the metropolitan areas. Assuming this long-term trend continues, in 40 years' time there will only be one electorate west of the Great Dividing Range and 92 on the coast, with the vast majority in the Newcastle, Sydney and Wollongong areas. For the people west of the Great Dividing Range, this is not representative government. A state will not survive a situation where the people in relatively sparsely populated areas have effectively no representation in Parliament, and the people in the more densely populated areas have effectively all the representation. This is the situation in New South Wales. It is essential for representative and beneficial government that area qualifications apply to electorates. One essential area qualification is a maximum size limit on the area that an electorate can contain. This will ensure that the people in relatively less populated areas will retain an effective amount of representation in Parliament. Another essential area qualification is a maximum limit on the number of electorates in a percentage of the area of the state. This will ensure that while a relatively densely populated city or area can evolve, it cannot politically dominate the people in all the other areas. The ideal formula for area qualifications is debatable. I will describe one example. No electorate larger than 10% of the area of the state, with additional electorates for every 10,000 voters, with no more than 10 electorates in 10% of the area of the state. The image displayed is a map of the possible Riverina state. In the image, no electorate is larger than 10% of the area of the state, regardless of population. This ensures that the people in all areas are effectively represented in Parliament and are not overwhelmingly dominated, as in New South Wales. There are additional electorates for the larger population centres such as Albury, Wagga, Broken Hill, Griffith and Leeton. There are smaller electorates containing approximately 10,000 voters around the smaller towns of Deniliquin, Moama and Tumut. The southeast area, marked in blue, is approximately 10% of the area of the possible Riverina state and is the most densely populated area. This area contains approximately 120,000 voters. Despite its population, it is limited to no more than 10 electorates and 10 consequent members of Parliament. In this example, Wagga and Albury cities have an additional 3 electorates each, Howlong and Corowa area 1, Tumut area 1, Cootamundra and Temora area 1, Culcairn, Holbrook and Midland areas 1, being a total of 10. Outside the blue area, Broken Hill and Griffith have an additional 2 electorates and Leeton 1. These area qualifications ensure that people from all areas of the state are effectively represented in Parliament and that the people from one area cannot overwhelmingly dominate the people from all the others. Area qualifications are a further modification of representative democratic government. In this example, while some people in the southeast might initially feel aggrieved with a limit on their membership of Parliament in this Riverina state, they should consider that in this example they elect 37% of the members of Parliament. The people from this same area elect 2.2% of the members of the New South Wales Parliament, and even this is certain to decline in the future. The people in the southeast, despite this limitation, and in fact all the people in this Riverina state example, have much more representation than they do in the New South Wales Parliament. The formula for area qualifications can be debated and different formulas applied, but what I think cannot be debated is that area qualifications on electorates are essential to ensuring effective and representative government. The practical extinction of representative government in New South Wales is proof of this. The lack of area qualifications and consequent lack of political representation and consequent formation of legislation detrimental to the people in the non-metropolitan areas, most obviously recent water and timber industry restrictions, has ensured that New South Wales will split into multiple states. Electorates with area qualifications will guarantee effective representative government. They will increase the likelihood of good governance for all the people in the state and consequently vastly increase the prosperity and happiness of the people in the Riverina.